Welcome to mental essay number 2. For this mental essay, we will be discussing everything that Kelly Sue did right with Captain Marvel is a tautology. That is to say, everything she did with Captain Marvel was right. And I got my semi-Captain Marvel hairdo going on here, so we can discuss the amazingness that was, and still is, for hopefully much longer, the new Captain Marvel series by Kelly Sue DeConnick. In case any of you guys are just completely out of it and aren't aware of what Kelly Sue's been doing with the Captain Marvel series, here is issue number 1. It's amazing. You need to read it. Okay, with that covered, let's get into all of the things that Kelly Sue has done absolutely, incredibly, perfectly right. The number one thing, which I would be remiss if I don't mention it, because I can hear every single woman who's watching this screaming it mentally at me, passes the Bechdel test. What is that? Okay. The Bechdel test is this test for women in film, cinema, literature, etc., where basically if they're not having a conversation about boys or relationships or how they can't get boys or a relationship or shoes, then they're not actual characters. They need to have a conversation unrelated to those topics at least once. So, take Sex and the City for an example. That show fails that test so dramatically. The entire show is centered around women's lives being centered around men. Okay? You can see why this is a problem, because obviously men have conversations that aren't entirely centered around women, so I'm told. And so therefore a group of women hanging out together should be able to have an equivalently not boring conversation. This new Captain Marvel series passes that with flying colors. You've got women in the 3rd issue, you've got women in a cave hanging out, trying to figure out tactics to defeat these ships, which we think we might be seeing where they're coming from. Kree ships, okay, alright, cool. And you have these women talking together, and it never feels awkward that they're not talking about men, but they don't, because there's bigger things they're dealing with right now. No one sees Carol Danvers show up in the past and ask her, "Where's your boyfriend?" Right? Or, "Who are you married to?" Blah, 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 anything like that. Just like, "Hey, what's your name?" "Captain Marvel." "Alright, Captain, let's go. Let's go kick some ass." Okay. Number 2. The Mercury 13 is in this. The Mercury 13, there are 2 or 3 stories that I use regularly when I'm teaching to show the bigotry and how far we've come and all this stuff from the past. One of them is Rosalind Franklin. One of them is Alan Turing. If you don't know who these people are, please go look them up. And one of them is the Mercury 13 program. I hate and I love the story of the Mercury 13 program for obvious reasons. It's an amazing story of amazing women who did amazing things in a day when women were not supposed to be doing anything. They kicked ass, they took names, and they were just a testament to everything awesome that there is about being a person, not even being a woman. They were just as far up there with Gus Grissom and Buzz Aldrin as being these amazing people who just went further and faster and harder and wanted more than everybody else. And it's a remarkable story that, of course, the men at the time cut short and denied these women the opportunity to do what they could do. And the fact that this is tied into the plot of the first story that Carol gets involved in, just, it's perfect. It's so perfect because it's tied up with Carol's flight experience and the Air Force and space, and which is, tied up into her Captain Marvel persona and all this stuff. It just fits, it meshes so perfectly together with who Carol is as a woman, as a superhero, and as a civilian, or, well, military civilian, non-superhero civilian. It's just it's the perfect story to use as the vessel for introducing new people to Carol and bringing the old readers into the new age of Carol Danvers, into the Captain Marvel age of Carol Danvers. And it's genius, and I love it. And it's perfect. Okay. I could really talk about this for hours, so I'm going to try and contain myself. The costume change. Oh, We saw in the second or third issue the people who were quite upset with the costume change. And by people, of course, I mean men. Okay, let's talk about the costume change. Carol Danvers' old outfit, I hate it. I hate the Miss Marvel outfit. I know it's iconic. I don't like to look at her in it because I don't feel like she's a superhero. I don't see a strong, awesome, kick-ass, I will destroy you chick in that outfit. I see a swimsuit model who's like all dainty and flouncing around and kind of super slutty. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not really Carol. It doesn't feel like Carol to me. It doesn't feel like this chick who had daddy issues and entered the Air Force and kicked ass no matter what anybody else said, you know? This new outfit is perfect. It's exactly Carol. It's got kind of that militaristic feel to it. And you know what? It's still hot. Like, you still see her whole figure, right? But it's hot in the same way that male superheroes are. It's the tight, full-body spandex outfit, right? Yeah, you see every muscle, you see every curve. But it's not objectifying her to any degree that men aren't already objectified as superheroes. It's perfect. It's equivalent. Oh, look at that. Equivalence, right? Oh my gosh. Strange, weird thing. And as I think Kelly Sue herself said, or someone said, I don't want to misattribute a quote, someone on the internet said recently, we want an outfit where you can actually, like, have your daughters dress up like her on Halloween and not be mad because she looks like a slut. Which is so true. Like, this is an outfit that little girls can see and look at and say, I want to be like her, and your parents don't look down and be like, no, not for many, many decades, no. This is a superhero. She looks like a superhero. Alright, sending her, let's talk about the plot. Sending her to the past. This is also genius, not just because of the Mercury 13 involvement, though I can talk forever about why that's amazingly genius, but because this has to do with the title, Earth's Mightiest Hero, that Carol is now possibly going to fill. Carol recently, I don't remember what issue it was, but she was talking to Spider-Woman. She was talking to Jessica about how she could be Earth's Mightiest Hero. She could be the best superhero out there. She could be better than anybody else on the team, man or woman. And that she's not. And that she's disappointed in herself that she's not, because she feels like if she can be, then she has a moral obligation to be. By the way, sneak preview, mental essay number 3 or 4. And now, by sending Carol into the past, she's cut off from all the other superheroes, and she has to be Earth's Mightiest Hero. That's it. There's no one else to help her unless she goes and finds Cap or Namor or something hanging around during World War II, right? Which I don't think is going to happen, but only issue 3. So it could happen, I guess, but I assume it's not going to happen. Because the whole point of putting her in the past is that she is cut off. The first thing she says when she figures out what's going on is, crap, this is a Tony Stark problem. This is a Reed Richards problem. Past time travel. This isn't what I do. I punch things. Which, okay, I'm not going to skip ahead of myself. But now she's isolated. She has to step up to the mantle. And Carol has her issues. She might not have had she stayed in the future with everybody, or in present day with everybody else. Carol has her insecurities and her doubts and all of her past problems and everything. But by putting her in this situation, she's forced to be the hero that she absolutely can be, and that she feels she has an obligation to be. And that's perfect. Carol's voice is perfect. So this is where I almost skipped ahead. When she says the butterfly protocol, it's so perfect. I love it. It's so Carol, because she's sitting around, she's smart, as we saw in the Avenging Spider-Man issue, number 9, where she did physics better than Peter for a minute there, which was awesome, because she's Air Force. She has to know math. She has to know physics. She's good at this stuff. But she would prefer to punch something really hard until it stopped. Because that's her personality, and it's perfect. And I love that that was like the first thing she said in the past, was wandering around being like, oh crap, oh no, time travel plot line, what am I gonna do? Oh darn it, I'm not supposed to step on stuff, right? Oh screw it, I'm gonna punch things. Oh well, too bad. And of course we see little ripples of that showing up, but it's just so perfect, it's so Carol. Okay, last thing, Helen's letter in issue number 1. Let me try and explain why. It's everything about a woman in a male-dominated field that I've ever needed to see, without being shot through a male gaze, in other words, being written in a way to appease male fans and not female ones, and without being pandering to women. Now, I'm not going to say it's impossible for men to write women correctly. That's not true. But I am very happy that Kelly Sue is the one who's writing this, because I feel like she's going to understand much better what's going on in Carol's head than a guy would. It's so right, because it's not women like Carol, women like every woman that I'm friends with, aren't trying to be the way they are because they're defying some man or trying to, well, yeah, we are trying to prove people wrong half the time. But it's not for men, it's for us. And that seems to be the thing that's lost a lot of these times with these very strong female characters, is that they do it for themselves, first and foremost. Carol became an Air Force pilot because, well, they would pay for her college, and she wanted to go to college. She became the best pilot of her generation because that's who she was, that's what she wanted to do. She is now imposing on herself the title of Earth's Mightiest Hero because she knows she can live up to it, and she feels a moral obligation to do so. She protects people because that's who she is, not because someone expects it of her. She expects it of herself. She holds herself to a higher standard than anyone else ever would. She holds herself to a higher standard than she holds anyone else. Not because of any of this feminism or anything like that. I mean, sure, that's part of it. That's why Carol was originally created back in the 70s. But because this is who she is, and this is what she does. And that's what Helen Cobb's letter got perfectly right. And that's what Kelly Sue got perfectly right. And I could literally talk about this Captain Marvel volume for forever, and I probably will, but that's what I'll say for now. So, this has been Mental Essay number 2. Everything Kelly Sue did right with Captain Marvel is a tautology, because it was everything. Thank you, Kelly Sue, and thank you guys for watching. Any hate, please leave it in the comments so I can't pay attention to it. Cheers.